Hey guys, what's going on? It's Erik here, and welcome to another review. This time we're going to be doing something a little different, and we're going to be reviewing a game series instead of actual game itself. And today's series we're going to be reviewing is Devil May Cry HD Edition. Yes, that is right. So a few days ago I've started playing the entirety of Devil May Cry in order to prepare for Devil May Cry 5, and I was able to complete all 4 games on a normal difficulty because I'm not a masochist. I didn't want it to go all out. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about how I felt about each of the different games. I'm going to be giving my review, how I felt in terms of the story, gameplay, all that, as well as giving my rank on how I felt each of the games should be in place. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, looking into Devil May Cry 1. So Devil May Cry 1 is a rather interesting first game. The gameplay from the PS2 era definitely aged pretty decently well. I'm not gonna say it's the best in terms of its overall gameplay, but I definitely felt it was its strong point. I definitely like the ability to switch between weapons. It gave a sense of experimentation, and it gave me an idea of what I needed to do for most of the enemies. I also like the ability to be able to use my guns to help keep a combo going. I definitely enjoyed the overall atmosphere. I definitely enjoyed the leveling system. I enjoyed the mission designs and all that. Well, they were pretty simple and pretty quick, not gonna lie. One thing I will say that I hated about Devil May Cry 1 was the camera angles, because my god, I hated it. I hated it so much because there was a lot of moments in the game where I would be fighting an enemy, and because it switched camera positions, my control scheme messed up because it was still on the momentum of when I was moving my controller, and it just screwed with me so many times, especially in the beginning. But eventually I managed to get the hang of it, and that's about it. But yeah, it's definitely a high point of the game. I enjoyed the gameplay a lot. It's kind of gave the idea that this is like what they were doing originally for the hack and slash genre back in the day, which I guess isn't much, but I really did like how they do it. Story, however, oh boy, where do I begin with the story? The story is barely existent in Devil May Cry 1. I absolutely hated it for God knows how long. I felt there was no narrative, there was no real story there. I had no clue who the villain was until like halfway through the game, when they freaking decide to show one of the characters off, and it's just like, oh, by the way, this villain is the guy you're gonna be fighting at the end of the game. It's like, okay, can you tell me what his motives are? Oh, he probably killed your mother. Okay, anything else? Oh, that's about it. That's it. They're not giving me a motive as to why what he wants to do. Does he want to rule the world or whatever? Oh no, we're not gonna give you that. It's just like, God, I hated it. Dante barely had any personality in this game. Like, there were a few moments where he would let out a wisecrack or something, but my God, I hated the fact that there was barely any cutscenes. It was just like, go to this area for God knows what reason to do this. Oh, then backtrack to this area so you can do that. Oh, there's like one cutscene with you talking with the boss. Kill him. Oh, by the way, the boss leaves. It's just like, there was barely any real story for me to actually get involved in, to actually give a shit about Dante, to actually just talk. Like, I wanted more from Dante. I wanted more from this game. And my God, Trish, don't even get me started with Trish. She was god awful in this game. She was barely one-dimensional at the very least, and she had no personality. She didn't appear at all for the majority of the game, only like 1 or 2 cutscenes, and some of them were just barely like at the end. And then they expect me to believe that Dante had feelings for her, and it's like, where is this coming from? It's like, oh, she looks like his mother. Okay, I don't give a shit what about that. Like, give me a real reason to want to care about Trish. Oh, because Dante was like, no, give me a real reason to want to like Trish as a character, and give me a reason to want to like Dante as a character. It just never happened, and I am very disappointed in how the story was. Like, the gameplay worked well. It was so good for a PS2 game. And it disappointed me knowing that the story was just inexistent. And just like, I had to basically play for the game and just think, oh, I'm doing all this for a greater purpose. And it's like, no, because I've had many games who do the exact same kind of style with like mission per mission thing, but they at least told a story in the grand scheme of things. It's just like this one didn't. It barely had the story and was barely consistent, and I just hated it. But difficulty was pretty good, and the gameplay was still good as well. But oh god, if I had to give this one a rating, I had to give it an 8 out of 10. Like, god. And this was the start of my ever-growing need to want to finish the Devil May Cry games, because since the first game didn't really live up to my expectations, I had to hope that the second games, and the third game and the fourth game did. Though I had to give the benefit of the doubt to the second game, because I am aware that the second game was, at that time, heavily criticized for showing a different Dante, being too easy and all that. So yeah. Now moving on to Devil May Cry 2. Moving right along to Devil May Cry 2, as I said previously, I had to give this game the benefit of the doubt, mostly because I am aware that this game has a reputation for being considered the worst game of the series, primarily for how they treated Dante and his personality. Though in this case, for me, I didn't really see his personality at all in the first game, so I had absolutely no correlation to that whatsoever, and how the game has been considered the easiest out of all of them, and how it doesn't really add any story value whatsoever to the game. But besides that, I wanted to play it anyway, because I at least wanted to try it out for myself and get my own opinion on it. Now, and this is the most ironic thing you're probably going to ever hear me say, I prefer Devil May Cry 2 over Devil May Cry 1. I felt the story was more consistent, it was there, the narrative was there. I at least liked Dante a little bit more in this game, even though he still had that issue of not really having much of a personality. The difference between this game and the first one is that he didn't really make any wisecracks, he was more serious. And but I did like how they handled this. I felt the gameplay was a bit more smooth. I definitely wasn't getting screwed over by the camera angles 90% of the time as I was in the first game. And I did like that they added in more mobility to Dante as a character. Now, and especially I also like the fact that they had two campaigns, one for Dante and one for Lucia, and I really did like how they handled Lucia's campaign as well. And I definitely liked her more as a character than I ever did Trish. So I felt Lucia at least was a more developed character, even though she had the shortest campaign between the both of them. Now, like I said, gameplay wise it is a bit more improved, but my only complaints are, one, it is too easy. I really had no need to want to use any of the items in the game whatsoever. I could breeze through a level with still at least 70% of my full health without even using any of the items. And the weapons, even though there's a lot more weapons in this game than the first one, I didn't really feel any incentive to want to use them. Since in this game they introduced the idea of being able to upgrade your weapons, I felt no need to want to use the other weapons, because my base sword and my base guns were pretty much all I needed for it. Which I felt kind of defeated the purpose of the improvements in gameplay, because you're basically just like losing that incentive to want to experiment with the different abilities, which for me I didn't really like. Well, I did like the fact that they did start implementing the whole switch between weapons mechanic that they started putting into the other games. Now, story-wise, as I said before, definitely more there. The villain, while he wasn't really good, he was pretty generic. He was way better than frickin' Modus was in Devil May Cry 1. He at least was there. You at least know what his motives are. You at least understand what he's doing. You can at least see the consequences of his actions in the game. And then Dante, as I said, he had more time to talk in this game, but I still felt he lacked a real personality, at least up until when I was playing. And Lucia was a better character in my opinion. I liked her motives, I liked her character development in the game. Well, I am sad that, and this is probably going to end up as spoilers, but whatever, but she really doesn't show up in the other games. Like, the ending kind of teased that she was waiting for Dante, but they never really showed her in any of the other games. It's as if they wanted to erase Devil May Cry 2 from history, which sucks, but whatever. Like I said, their gameplay was good, and the story was pretty good. I liked both sides of the story. I could definitely say this one was the better game between Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 2. And I would give this one a 9 out of 10, simply because I enjoyed it more than Devil May Cry 1, but it definitely should have fixed the issues that it had, such as the difficulty being lowered and being way too easy for its own good. Then the story still needing some work, especially for Dante. But with that, we're gonna continue onwards to Devil May Cry 3. Now, moving on to Devil May Cry 3. Oh, God, yes. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Between the original trilogy, this is definitely the best one out of all 3 Devil May Cry games for the HD collection. Cause, God, this game was basically everything I actually was hoping for when I played for Devil May Cry 1. This is the game that I really loved out of all of the Devil May Cry games. Like, oh God, it was so good. It is definitely my favorite game out of the entire franchise. Because not only did they take the overall idea of the hack and slash for freaking Devil May Cry 1 and 2, they then made it more modern. It felt more like a modern, like, hack and slash game, at least akin to, like, say, God of War or any of that. And my God, I loved it. There was way more incentive to want to experiment with the different weapons that they had, because there were a lot of weapons, and they allowed you to switch between at least 2 of them, which was a bit disappointing, but it was still way better in how they implemented it in Devil May Cry 2. Like, my God, this was great. I just love beating the absolute shit out of people in this game, and using the different abilities too. And my God, the story was way better than I was hoping for a Devil May Cry game. Dante in this game was just awesome, because not only did he have a personality, but he actually was a character that I could actually care for. It was just awesome. It was just badass. It was just funny, cool, basically everything you can want. And then above all, he at least was an interesting character that you can relate to. And I really loved how they handled his story with Virgil, how their whole brotherly bond and relationship is. I definitely really liked Virgil as a character. He was, my God, one of the cooler characters I have dealt with. He was definitely awesome. I liked Lady. I liked Lady a lot. She was a pretty solid character in her own like little. Basically, she was a good character, and she had her own moments of spotlight. She was pretty badass in the cutscenes and the story. She was really good. I enjoyed her. I am disappointed there wasn't really any scenes or moments where you worked together with her. But God, it was so good to see that. Like, they at least like that they've been improving on the characters and the supporting characters more than in the next few games. Because my God, it was annoying for the first 2 games. And God, this entire game just did everything I wanted. It had that difficulty that I was looking for. Devil May Cry, that I've heard nothing but good things about. And this game had it. It had that difficulty I was looking for. Like that whole thing of the game could kick my ass, but I could still be able to overcome it through my sheer determination and just freaking being a badass. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm live for in a game. I want that kind of stuff in games. It's just like, I'm really glad that this game had it, because if I had to play for another game where it wasn't gonna either be too easy or too annoying because of the overall era from where this game came from, I would have been annoyed. I would have probably said, no, I'm not gonna play Devil May Cry 4. But God, this was a great game. Definitely the longest one out of all the other games, because it actually took me about more time than either Devil May Cry 1 or Devil May Cry 2 combined, which is surprising, but yeah. It was good, and that final boss, that final boss was just great. I loved it. It was difficult. It was probably the most challenging boss I had to deal with in a PlayStation 2 game, and probably one of the harder bosses I had to deal with in a game in general, but God, it was really good. And I barely won that fight, just for the skin of my teeth and my sheer luck. Yeah, this game is just great. Definitely a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, the best one out of the entire series. Just, God. If you guys want to have a game to start off with, this game is the game you need to start off with. And then just play for the other ones and just be disappointed in the fact that they don't have what this game had. But God, it's so good. That's all I can really tell you. And with that, we're gonna move on to Devil May Cry 4. Alright, let's talk about Devil May Cry 4, the final game in the series, with the exception of the reboot from 2013. I haven't played that, so I'm not going to talk about it at all. But yeah, Devil May Cry 4. The PS3, the Devil May Cry game, the one I was really looking forward to playing. Now this game basically takes a step up from Devil May Cry 3 and makes the gameplay even more fun and more fast-paced. I loved playing it. It was a lot of fun doing all those different combos, but there are very few things I would like to talk about, but I felt like they screwed up with this game, especially the special edition of this game. Now, the one thing I would like to say is, the game basically gives you all the abilities at the beginning of the game, and for me personally, I dislike that. The other games made me work for the abilities that I was using, even though I didn't really buy them. I kept spending my orbs on freaking items because I needed it. But my God, this game just basically just hand gifted me all the abilities, like say, here's all the resources you need to buy all of Nero's and Dante's abilities. Oh, what's that? You want a challenge? Well, no thank you. We're gonna give you these resources and you do whatever you want. And the thing that I really hated about it is the fact that they basically punish you for buying those abilities and using them in the beginning. Like, it pisses me off because the point of the game is just to be creative with your combos, keep a combo up, try to get the best style out of it. And it's like the game just basically not only does it make you give you all the resources to basically be freaking overpowered at the beginning of the game, it then punishes you for it because apparently that's how it is. And it really bugged me because it was like, why bother giving me these options in the beginning if you're just gonna punish me for it? Like, don't give me like the resources I could use to buy the abilities, because it gives me incentive to want to get everything I can, and that annoys me so very much. Not to mention that because I had all the abilities at the beginning of the game, most of the difficulty that should have been there wasn't there. And honestly, it felt a bit disappointing. It felt like what happened with DMC2, where I just breezed through the levels without even so much as losing my health. Like, even the bosses weren't even that difficult. Fortunately, in Dante's side of the story, it was definitely more balanced, I guess, where I wasn't as overpowered as I was with Nero. But in terms of overall gameplay, it was still pretty easy, because Dante still was a badass, let's be honest. No game will ever change the fact that he's such a badass and he's overpowered. But I still am disappointed by the fact that they had to basically give me these abilities and then punish me for it. Fortunately, like in the later half of the game, they don't punish me for it anymore, but still is disappointing. When you're doing so well with the combos, doing so well with the time, getting a lot of the orbs, and then just having the game punish you for it, saying, oh, by the way, because you're an overpowered character, we're not going to give you a good rank, we're just going to give you a C or D or whatever because of it. And it annoys me. Now if we're talking story, the story was pretty good in this one. but it definitely felt rehashed from like all the third game, especially with the whole, oh, we're gonna open the gates to hell again, and oh, we're gonna gain the power of Sparta again. Like, it was definitely rehashed for that entire bit. Venom was kind of meh, I'll be honest. But the way how he was executing his plan was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Nero was a pretty good protagonist, I'm gonna be honest right here. I understand that they had to create him as a way to, like, introduce newcomers to the series while also retaining Dante as a supporting character. But man, I really did like Nero. He was a really likable character. My only problem with him is that he looked too similar to young Dante. And his personality kind of was like a mix between DMC 1 and 2. But that doesn't say much since neither one of them had much personality to begin with. So I wasn't really a fan of that completely. But yeah. I did like Nero though. I actually liked his motives, I liked his development as a character. Hell, even his whole romance with Kiri was more believable than him and Dante and Trish. Like, I actually could tell that this guy really cared for Kiri and would do anything to protect her. Like, you don't really see that as much. But I did enjoy it. Dante was, Dante in this game. He was getting better and better with his personality as time went on, and just, God, they really did him good in DMC 3 and 4. Like, I loved it so much. I loved seeing Dante in those two games. And it really disappoints me that DMC 1 or 2 didn't really have that same spark. Yeah. Like, the story is pretty straightforward. I definitely could just say that they could have done a few things differently from the game for the get-go, but whatever. I definitely could give this game a 9 out of 10 simply because it's great. But it doesn't really reach that same level of love I have for DMC 3, which just did everything right for me. So, where it stands, I give the DMC series a 9 out of 10. If I had to rank each game based on my enjoyment, it would be DMC 3, DMC 4, DMC 2, and DMC 1. And for anybody who's watching this review and always been wanting to play the DMC games, I highly recommend them. And don't listen to the people who say that DMC 2 could be skipped. I recommend you play it. Because regardless, I can at least guarantee there will at least be one thing from DMC 2 that will be referenced in DMC 5. Because that's pretty dumb and they won't do that. But either way, I definitely recommend you play through all 4 games. If you want to play the reboot. I'm not going to be one of those people who are going to say that the reboot sucks and all that, because the reboot, from what I have seen, has its potential, had its good moments about it. It's good. And I cannot wait to play DMC 5 when it comes out in a few weeks from when I'm recording this. And so, then I'm going to end the video. Thanks a lot for watching this pretty long review, but I had to get my thoughts out for all 4 games, and I made a promise to a friend of mine that I would review the game series and then show him this video. So, without further ado, I want to end it off. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later.
For power? Humans. They are but stubborn and foolish. It takes a journey to hell for them to accept and praise their god. A fact that tickles Irony's judgment.
And your judgments interest me not. For I am here to reclaim what is rightfully mine.
That is what you seek. And that is why I wait in your power.
You will fumble the proposition of my quest. opportunity to battle a being of such grand